when you're still trying to rationalize with the mind or change those stories, you're still ultimately limiting yourself to the mind, which is limited. Welcome to the Miracle Frequency Podcast. Welcome back, everyone. Today we are doing something brand new. I'm calling this Spiritual Riffs with Susan and Sin.
Good name.
So welcome back, Sin. She first came on the podcast a couple of episodes ago now. Welcome back, Sin. She's a psychic and channeler and counselor. That's the short version.
Yes.
An all-round spiritual guru. So welcome.
Thank you, Susan.
Before we dive into it, I just want to give you a bit of background. So Sin and I are supporting each other in different ways. We've got this little relationship at the moment where Sin is helping me open my channel to source and continue to open that and expand. And I'm helping her in other ways through mentor coaching, helping her expand in her business and unblocking anything that might be in the way. So we have different skill sets, and so we've been supporting each other. And what's been fun is that we end up having these very juicy conversations just on the fly before we do anything else, because we are on different paths, obviously, but a lot of the same things are very important to us. And we were having a conversation the other day about different therapies and modalities and the mind. And it became quite interesting. And I felt that this was a conversation that we could have in a more public arena so that other people could get our little insights and be a fly on the wall in our little conversation. So how it unfolded was we were talking about, both of us in the past have worked with different modalities to help people heal, clear, release. And what a lot of that work is really on a mind level. And where the conversation with Sin and I went was that really the work now we feel is going beyond the mind. And I might just, Sin, do you want to share something? I've just been sort of rambling.
Yeah,
I'll let you open the conversation about it.
No, that's fine. I think the thing that I've uncovered in my work as a counselor and therapist, and I often like to say intuitive counsellor, intuitive therapist, so people are very aware that I'm not just using taught modalities, which I think are great, by the way. I'm not anti them. But it's also opening up to so much more. And one of the things that I've realized with certain clients is that we can do talk therapy. And look, a lot of people out there, and there's enough literature and research into this, so like talk therapy has its place, but people need sometimes other things. So say, for instance, you could, apply something like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT as it's known, when people are having, say, lots of particular beliefs and recurring thoughts that are, shall we say, negative and limiting and impacting their behaviors, with others or in relationships or themselves, etc. And so you might look at their cognitions and do lots of talk therapy around that and give them tools to even understand, if, for instance, something like a thought is just a thought, it's not real. Or noticing I'm having the thought. And in those sorts of things, there's an element of mindfulness there in a way of reminding yourself you're just having the thought. Okay, thoughts aren't real, you're just having that thought. But again, you're focused on that level of the mind. And a lot of the talk therapy and maybe shifting around beliefs is around that. And a fair few of the modalities are like that. So not so long ago, I had most loveliest narrative therapist, which I wanted to try as a different kind of therapy for myself. Oh yeah, I'll try narrative therapy. While it was good and it was interesting, it still can have this focus on what are the stories we're telling ourselves? What is the social conditioning, which is basically what are the stories I've been told? What are the stories maybe that I'm talking even with my friends? I liked it, but I still kept feeling like I'm still just in that mind state.
Yes.
Around the thoughts and the mind. And Susan, you and I are big fans of Eckhart Tolle and others, Michael Singer and a fair few others. Yeah, both of us are big fans, so that probably helps. But, I'm not going to speak for you, but I can say for myself, I've understood that how much of it is the need for myself, but also seen it in my client work, is to go beyond thinking. So if the therapy modalities are still focusing on the thinking and the thoughts and trying to help you with those thoughts, we're still at that level of mind, and we're not jumping up the level of what I believe we're here to do. Many of us is to go to that state of higher consciousness, which we
Yes.
know doesn't require mind.
Yes. Yeah. And absolutely. And a lot of the processes that I've done with clients too, some of it is going deeper than the conscious mind, but it's still going to the subconscious mind. Like a process I use, timeline therapy, I still use it, and actually I did it with Sin the other day, and she had some great results too.
Amazing. Life changing.
So it is really powerful. It is really powerful, and it helps remove things that are sort of stuck in the mind, but at a subconscious level. So it's going beyond the conscious mind, which I kind of feel is that next level. So, I've had clients say to me that, when they've worked with me for 3 months, it's been more profound than 10 years of therapy because, and I'm not dismissing any types of therapy. Like Sin said, there are different times, different places, different people where they all have their place. But when you are talking, like Sin said, from that mind level, you're always stuck in stories. And, whether the stories are good or bad, they can, of course, more positive stories are always going to make you feel better, but they are still just stories. So going past the conscious mind into the subconscious mind can be that first level of unblocking things. When you get to the root cause of something, you can release it. But there's absolutely a place where your awareness shifts to beyond your mind, to know that you're more than your mind. And that's where we experience peace. That's where we experience peace.
Definitely.
That's where I feel like, humanity is moving, and I guess the consciousness of the planet is shifting. But as long as you are stuck in talking about your stories, you can always shift your stories to be more positive, or your thoughts, your beliefs, whatever you want to call them. But they are still just stories.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing that I also see is that if you think about it, Susan, it's somewhat, I think, what you were just explaining. When we get into stories, we are still at that level of mental realm. We're still at the level of egoic mind, if we want to call it that, or I like to say imbalanced ego even. We're still caught up in that. And stories are only ever going to be a version, a perspective, one sort of, singular understanding of something. And yet every time we let go of that, if we meditate, if we channel, if we are in pure flow with, say we were drawing or running or doing swimming laps or whatever we were doing, playing piano, whatever we were doing, in those moments, we know that we are not in the mind. We're not in egoic mind, and everything is possible and it is unlimited. And so, as you say, even if a story is a positive story, it still may have attached to it limitations about the reality and what is possible. And so the thing that I guess I understand with clients and see is that through using often energy work, so you'll do timeline therapy, I might do energy work or other things. What I'm able to do is help clients similar to you that have said, I've done years and years of therapy, but I can't get through this one last thing, or I'm still having this thing go on. Sometimes it's about going in there energetically and setting people free. Sometimes it's about, as you say, with certain things, I can certainly say this as a testament from my own experiences and certain counseling clients, therapy clients. When we go into the higher consciousness state, whatever we have felt, thought, believed was an issue in our life, if you're in the state of consciousness and just presence, that thing, whether it's related to past or future, does not exist in the present.
Yes.
And that's the other higher level, I think, to work why and why it's important.
Yeah, and that's really where, Eckhart Tolle comes from, is that when you are truly present in this moment, so the mind is telling stories about the past and the future. It's not telling stories about what's currently happening. It's telling stories about the past and the future. So all the stories of the mind, whether something's possible or whether something happened in the past or all the things in between, it's telling stories. But when you are deeply present, like deeply present with awareness, there is a peace there. There's a peace there. And it's that deeper consciousness, it's that inner energy. It's beyond all of that mind chatter. And that's what I think both of us want people to come to understand and experience is that when you're still trying to rationalize with the mind or change those stories, you're still ultimately limiting yourself to the mind, which is limited. So while we can always shift them, it's when we come back into presence and a deeper consciousness, that's when we find the true peace, when we actually let go of all of the stories and connect to that inner truth of who we are, that soul, that consciousness, that inner presence. That's when things.
Sorry, I totally agree with you. And the thing is, I feel like talk therapy and the stories and things is a place for that, Susan. Like if somebody is not aware of what's happened in their childhood or way
Yeah.
they might have a particular fear in a relationship or a particular thing that keeps coming up for them, often there is a need. Again, I'm going to name it though. Egoic mind wants to know.
Yeah.
Consciousness doesn't need to know. Egoic mind wants to know. So it will want to know what happened. Why am I like this? Is it because my parents were like this? Or is it because this happened to my sibling when they were 10 years of age? Or is it because we moved houses 10 times or whatever? Egoic mind wants to know, I've got trauma, I've got challenges, or I've got issues, and wants to know. And again, it is egoic mind. I can see, though, for therapeutic purposes, why people need to uncover, shall we say, that story. And as narrative therapy would say, is, get into the meaning making of it. But what I find fascinating when you really look at that, you're still using your mind to make meaning of what has happened. Now, if you take people into a channeled state, or you work with them, say the way I might intuitively, or particularly with reading clients, I'm not using this at all. So what I'm constantly gleaning from the universe and receiving are pretty fascinating insights into people's stories and what has happened, and often even around what might be going on for the soul. And that itself is beyond the mind. And so I'll give you an example. If someone says to me, for instance, okay, I grew up with this sibling, they didn't like me, we fought all the time, this is what's going on now. Because of that, I'm struggling to have self-confidence and trust myself that I could attract a lovely partner that really loved me, and da-da-da-da-da. There's all the stories.
Yes.
Okay, there are all the stories. Now, if you go into channel, often what I'll see is this person, this sister or sibling, brother, whoever it is, this sibling has chosen to come into your life to help, for example, spark you into this path of understanding really what your potential is, about how to overcome blocks, and about how, for instance, it might be something like how not to blame. Because sometimes I'll see in another lifetime, this person might have blamed someone for not being able to go anywhere in life. And yet this lifetime, in comes this character, this soul, that helps you go, how else can we do this? And open yourself up to all of those possibilities. So it becomes less about the relationship, less again about the stories, but about the potentiality. And I think that's the difference with working in that higher consciousness or conscious state.
Yes. And like you said, it depends where people are on their journey. If people haven't even done any sort of personal development or healing, then of course, bringing awareness to what's actually happening, because most people are, a lot of the planet is going through life in a very sort of unconscious way, just reacting to whatever happens and feeling completely justified in all their reactions. My anger's justified, my sadness, whatever those things are. They don't realize that everything that's happening to you, how you react is probably 90% your triggers and traumas from the past.
Yes.
If you had amnesia and woke up today and someone came and something happened, you would respond very differently.
Yes.
But it's the trauma and the triggers, the unresolved experiences that have happened, that have stuck inside you and caused what Michelson will call samskaras inside you, like little blocks, energy blocks inside you. Those are the things that most people are responding through. It's like someone says something to you, like everyone can probably relate to. There's probably a family member that really triggers you, right? Everyone's probably got one family member at least that really triggers them. And so when that person says something to you now in the present moment, it's actually not what they're saying that bothers you. It is all of the baggage and the stories and the trauma and the triggers that you are reacting through. And so if someone hasn't had that awareness to know that that's happening, then it can be powerful to bring that awareness to them and to help them talk through things.
For sure.
But there's always that root cause, though, of, first of all, you can let that go at a deeper level. You can go back and, as we mentioned before, with something like timeline therapy or energy work, and release it in a more powerful way. But then there's also the awareness that when you are reacting to someone, when you're reacting with emotion, you're always reacting based off of stories or beliefs or triggers. And so when you could be deeply present and go beyond that, you'll respond in a different way. When you can let go of all of that mind chatter, all of those stories, you'll respond with more peace, more calm, more presence.
It's true. And even in your day-to-day, if you consider this, how common is it for egoic mind in any situation to feel like whatever has happened is somehow about me and is personal. So if somebody cuts you off in the traffic, I can't believe they cut me off, and I'm running late to school as well, or whatever. Rather than do we ever anticipate or question or query, how was this not about me? How is it about that person? Maybe they had an extra strong coffee. It could be something as silly as that. Or perhaps something, like we've all been in those situations where you're rushing somewhere because somebody you know's had an accident or is sick, or something's going on with the pet, whatever, or you've received bad news. I've been that person where you've not been in your body anymore because you've received some sort of massive shock, that sort of got you not present, not there. But, the thing is, as I often say to clients, is can you shift this to a question just for yourself? How is this not about me? Because a great mind, again, is in there. This has got to be about me. It's got to be me. And that's happened to me. And let's blame that person and that person from the past. And that old trigger is now bringing this in, which means I can't, trust my girlfriend right now, or my boyfriend, or my them friend, whoever right now, because this happened. And it's like, again, it's stories, it's past, it's egoic, it's in the head.
Mind.
Yeah. And yet if you go above that, every time you let go and you go above that, and I'm sure you have this experience, Susan, everything shifts.
Yes.
Because there is no need for blame. You don't even feel the trauma or the old pain. And it's not about escapism or avoidance. It's not that. But you're in a space of being totally present to the moment. And because you're in the moment, you realize, as you said, the trauma or the triggers are from the past, or they're related to the fact that you're fearful or concerned, or have, none of us do, no control over the future.
Yes, that's everyone's biggest fear, most people's biggest fear. But Sin, I just want to, like that example you used, I want to give another perspective. So, you mentioned the cutting off in the traffic, and you ask clients, how could you see that this isn't, that this is not about you, right? I would take that to the next level and say, when you know that everything is actually unfolding for your best and highest good and everyone else's, and you learn to drop all the judgment, there is such a deeper peace. So when you come to that knowing that it's all unfolding for me, and someone cuts you off in traffic, you're able to go, okay, there's a reason, there's a reason that I have been delayed in that moment, or there's a reason that person needs to cut in front, or for whatever it is. Like perhaps that slowing you down in traffic allows you to, slow down and see something written on a sign which sparks an idea, or I don't know, you see a number plate with some angel numbers that really resonate with you. That would happen to me. Or something else happens, you avoid an accident, or you get to, let's say you're dropping your child off at school, and you get to school and you bump into someone you haven't seen for a long time. Like every little moment, when you get to that place of knowing that every moment is happening for you, there is a much deeper peace through life, because it's all about dropping the judgment of things, When someone cuts you off in a car, it's neither good nor bad. It's neutral.
Yeah. And again, the judgment is so much of that, because judgment only ever is egoic mind. One of the phenomenal things that I feel when you're connecting with the source energy, there is never any judgment, never, ever. If there is, you can pretty much bet that your mind, your egoic mind, has gotten into that reading or that meditation state that you're in, or whatever. It's switched back on. And when you are able to, you're right, see it as a space of not having to, in the first place, judge people, because you are aware that everything is unfolding, everything is as is, then you stay in that beautiful flow state. And you are right, you are then attentive, because you're present, to notice whether it was the angel numbers that triggered something else that made you remember you wanted to do this, or that gave you that inspiring moment of, right, next podcast. It might be for you, Susan, or might be for your next chapter of a book, or idea, whatever concept post is going to be about this. We allow ourselves in those moments and space for that.
Yes.
So much space.
And there is so much more freedom, even just, I've had over the last month, multiple little things happen or not sort of go according to initially how I thought they might. And there is such a peace in being able to let go of that and not need to control it, to just trust that it will happen when it happens, it'll fall into place when it does. I see so many people, and I know I used to be like this, is worrying when's, I need to make this happen, or when's it going to happen, or this person should have done that, or all of that stuff. It's all the egoic mind or the false self judging how things should be, but it's not all about you. No. It's not all about me. It's not all about, it's not personal.
No. And when you step back from that, I think what happens is, and you take your hands off the wheel in that way, you do allow the universe more room and space to do what it needs to do. I think we all, sometimes it's a bit like we're hardwired, perhaps we're conditioned to go in this space of feeling like we need to make something happen, or we need to push for it, we need to control. And yet how often do we notice when we're doing that, we are suffering. The people around us are suffering, and there is no way to be able to connect with that peace that we would normally otherwise feel. And I think that's such a poignant thing to be aware of. Again, what are the stories? What is the egoic mind telling you? How much are we caught up in just, again, the mental realm?
Yeah.
And how can we go higher to then therefore find the peace? But also at times, because you do go higher and you've let go of what you think you know, you actually allow room, importantly, room for the universe to give you insights.
Yes.
Unfold in the most spectacular ways and guide you, which it's doing anyway.
Yes. I saw, I don't go into LinkedIn much, but I was there looking at something the other day, and I saw a post from someone I follow who had some sort of medical issue and has had to take, she's a founder, CEO of a company, and she's had to take 3 weeks off of work. And she's like, because she's just switched off, laptops away, emails are down, it's been something, just had some health scare that made her just stop everything. And she had this while she was sitting by the pool one day with her kids, she had some profound insight into her next evolution or whatever it is. And it's like, so I kind of had a bit of a chuckle because she wrote this line about, isn't it interesting how your next breakthrough doesn't happen when you're like burning the midnight oil or pushing harder. It's sometimes in the quiet moments. And I'm like, it's always in those quiet moments, or those, most insights, ideas, intuitive pulls happen at random times. They're not when you're sitting down trying to force something. It's on a walk. It's when you're in the shower. It's, I don't know.
Well, it's when you're in flow.
Yes. When you're present, when you're peaceful, when you're clear. When the mind is too busy, there's no room for those higher insights to drop in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And they are unexpected. And I think, again, that's part of the reminder of how the universe works. It has, I believe, it might feel random to us, but it has its own timings. And so when we are guided to feel, okay, I'm going to do this next thing, or I'm going to make that next change, or often an opportunity presents to us. How many times do the opportunities present not when we were looking for them, but because we had just literally surrendered, stepped back and said, which I try to do a lot, probably need to do more at the moment, and have been, saying, I actually hand it over, I surrender, I give up.
Yes.
And I have to, because I don't know what, I know I read, but I don't channel on my future. I don't want to know it all, because I don't want to then get in control of it all. Yet we can only step back and say, I surrender, show me. And when we do that, again, it's always we're creating space.
Yes.
We're not creating space for the universe to show us, by the way. We are creating space for ourselves to see it, to receive it, to know it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. It's my belief. We are, like I said, we're always being guided in every moment. And so the more we are present, surrendered, and like I said, a big part of that is not judging and not listening to the mind. We're guided in every moment. And like I said, it could just be someone cutting you off in traffic. I love that little example, because it could just be that leads to something else. You know, it's all unfolding in really random, magical ways. And the more you embrace that, I just believe the more and more unfolds for you. And that's where the excitement is. The excitement is in the unknown.
Yeah, exactly.
The known is the past.
Yeah, it is. And so the stories might help us for a period of time, I think, as you said, to get us to where we need to go and to understand a few things. But there is so much more when we let go of just the stories, just the thinking. And we can, as we've both understood and discussed, go beyond the mind.
Yes.
Go to the higher consciousness, and then see what is. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. That might be a place to wrap up.
Yes, sounds like it. Well done.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I love this spiritual riff with Susan and Sin. Let us know in the comments. Send me a DM if you've enjoyed this. We were planning on doing a whole little series of these, our little spiritual conversations that we normally have in private. We thought we'd share with the world. So thank you so much, Sin. Hey,
total pleasure. Lots of fun. Always, Susan. Always fun.
Lots of fun. We will do it again soon.